Hello, everybody. My name is Gameli Adzaho. I come from Ghana. I'm really excited to be here. So I joined this program on the ticket of Team NIÄP. It was really exciting putting the spacecraft together yesterday. I also want to use the opportunity to talk about our efforts in building a movement for open science in Africa. So I'll talk mainly about Global Lab Network and then Africa Open Science and Hardware. All right. So Global Lab actually came out from my personal experience as a science teacher. So once upon a time, I used to be a teacher of integrated science and chemistry. And I remember I used to bring my students to events like bar camps. So there was one particular bar camp in 2012 or so. I think DK was there. And then we had this conversation about studying of science, why students find science to be impractical, theoretical, and very difficult to understand. So we decided to form a Facebook community, and we called it Global Lab Ghana. The idea behind forming that Facebook group was simply to give students the opportunity, because Ghana runs primarily a boarding school, high school system. When they are on vacation, they can just simply ask questions, and then I can answer, or some other expert in a particular scientific discipline can answer. But over time, these guys moved on to university, they've completed, they are doing stuff. And because I'm not a teacher anymore, we don't have lots of high school students, so we can't run the same model. So Global Lab has evolved to be a community of young STEM professionals and students who are basically mobilized to undertake social impact activities. So our main focus right now is looking at community science projects and social innovation projects. So some of the thematic areas we are interested in are STEM education. We are interested in urban sustainability, so issues like air pollution. We are interested in environmental health, yes, because the nature of the environment affects health. We are interested in rural innovation as well. And so some of the actual activities we've been doing include online mentoring through the Facebook community I talked about. There's a lot of discussion going on there. Exchange of opportunities and link-ups, public engagement, actual projects, and capacity building or capacity strengthening. So these last 2 points are action areas for us going forward. So just to give you some quick glimpse of some of the initiatives we've been doing. So we joined forces with another organization called Idea to Market to start what we call innovation clinics. And innovation clinics basically are about engaging people involved in trying to come up with innovative projects, particularly university students in various cities. So when we come to a particular city, we are very selective with respect to who can come to an innovation clinic. So we pinpoint people we know are working on projects. And then we have conversations around what makes their project successful, what kinds of challenges they're having. We have an expert in innovation from the African Development Bank who actually more or less diagnoses some of the challenges they have and then offer practical action steps that they can execute in order to come up with more successful projects. We also realize that the conversation around science and technology is always within certain circles where we have experts, let's open a Fablab, and it's just the technologies and people interested, that come together. So we also started what we call the Science Cafe. And the idea behind the Science Cafe is just like science cafes in Europe, which is that give opportunity for experts in certain areas to come and talk about their work. Pick a particular topic, pick something that is of interest, simplify it for members of the public so that they can be able to connect to the topic. So we've had discussions around things like artificial intelligence, what does it mean for the future of work in Africa, et cetera, et cetera. And then we'll be having more and more conversations of this kind going forward. We also do datathons. So the one we have in this picture, we organized during the Africa Science Week. Africa Science Week is an initiative of the Next Einstein Forum. So every year, African countries organize a week of science activities. So Global Lab Network partnered with another organization called Developers in Vogue. We had access to research air quality data, and we put this data in front of technologists and data scientists and just anybody interested, you know. And we are like, this is the data from about air pollution in Accra. How can you translate this data into something which is very simple for some other people to understand? And what kind of tools can you build with this data to kind of like communicate air quality information to the public? So it was really exciting. We had like different kinds of ideas. People were trying to build predictive tools. People built air quality dashboards and all kinds of interesting ideas. One thing we are also particularly interested in, as I mentioned before, is rural innovation. And we've started our engagement with rural areas through an annual camp. So we have an organization in the Volta region of Ghana which organizes a camp every year, the NIʀP Youth Camp. And so within that camp, they teach things like leadership, sexual reproductive health, and just anything that may be of interest to young people. And so what Global Lab does is to go in on a particular day and run a session on creativity and problem solving. We talk about things like design thinking. We also try to be very practical. So we show videos of innovations that are done by young people in Africa, like 12-year-olds, you know, for the kids to get challenged in that rural community. All right, so on the subject of open, for me, open science is very important, and it's particularly important to Africa because of the fact that it brings down the barriers of participation in science and gives the opportunity for people in Africa to also participate in science. More importantly for me, it's not about having advanced degrees like master's degrees and PhDs. For us, really, it's about getting people to see science as an aspect of their culture. And if you see science as something that which is very natural to you, that means that you are going to get people to participate in it, and it's going to affect decision-making, and therefore it will contribute to development. So the team from OK Lab spoke a lot about air quality, so I'm going to jump over this slide about, for example, how we are trying to use the idea of open science and community science in air quality monitoring. And so I'll jump quickly to Africa Open Science and Hardware Summit. We appreciate the fact that we cannot be able to build a movement around open science all by ourselves. We have to do it in partnership with others. So we join forces with other organizations like Kumasi Hive, Association for Open Science in Haiti and Africa, the Exploratory Global Innovation Gathering, and other organizations to set up this platform called Africa Open Science and Hardware Summit. We had our very first summit in Kumasi, Ghana. Some of the topics we spoke about involve hardware, digital skills, innovation. We talked about local manufacturing based on open principles, and then we also talked about business model for open science and hardware. I'm using the word talk, but then we also had lots of workshops and field work as part of the summit. So we had about 100 participants from 22 different countries from almost all the continents of the world. I think we didn't have anybody from Australia, but we had like from the rest of the continents. And then we came up with a roadmap for open science and hardware in Africa. This roadmap is also based on the roadmap for gathering of open science hardware, which is like the global community for open science and hardware. Yeah, in 30 seconds. So these are some of the pictures from our summit in Kumasi. We are in the Makerspace of Kumasi Hive. And yeah, we had some exciting, the guy up there, Andrew, he's a digital naturalist from the US, and I mean, he can make all kinds of interesting things in the wild, like in the field, for field biology. Another session, we have guys from Germany, Tanzania, talking about some of the projects that they've been doing in their various spaces, and discussion on the different kinds of global communities promoting open science, and then, of course, this happy picture. I'm hoping that the picture we took at the back will be much better than this one. And so I'm inviting all of you to Dar es Salaam in Tanzania 2019. We'll be having the next edition of Africa Open Science and Hardware Summit in April. So when I was coming here, I was having a conversation with Tegen, and then she was like, Tangana, Tanzania and Ghana. So you see the connection, like, yeah. So that's why we are using Tangana. So going forward, we will be at Republica talking about air quality. We'll be running workshops, and we'll also be having conversations around open science. We'll be scaling up some of the initiatives we are doing, and yeah, these are all opportunities for all of us to collaborate. So yeah, only 9 seconds of our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gameli.